Love you. Beep, beep, Gusser. Hold on, Daisy. No. We don't do that, girl. Good job. Good morning, everybody. Our stand now has 6 milkers on it. If you saw the last video, I mentioned that we were drying Pepper up. So she is good. She's no longer making any milk. So now we're just waiting for her to absorb it. But I did decide to put her in with the yearlings. And also Cassie. So Cassie is in with the yearlings now too. I just decided that would be a little bit easier on her watching her foot or her hoof. And she's doing really good. She's not limping. She's not acting like it bothers her at all. The only bother, to be honest, is that she seems a little upset to be in with the yearlings. However, the yearling pen only has 5 yearlings in it now. So that's pretty cool. 4 of them are mine, and then there's Maggie, who is listed for sale, but she's such a sweet girl. She's no bother by any means. So anyway, Derek did leave with Dottie, so that's why there's only 5 yearlings. So he left with Dottie, and he also left with Tippy's Silver Chamosego, and he left with Dreamer's Buckling. So he is on his last delivery, or at least for the time being. So go for it. Okay, good job, Mama. That's enough. Oh, what's going on? Blue Blue? Oh, it's your sweet guy. He's so sweet. How'd you get in here, Gusser? Well, look who made it back around, Apollo. How we doing, sir? Those cute little licks. Alright, you guys. So if you saw the last video, you know that I had mentioned that I needed to put down the 2 stargazers. And here's what I think happened. Hey guys, so before I get into the sadder part of this video, I just wanted to jump in real quick with something not so sad and remind you guys that right now you can still take advantage of our Mother's Day sale where you get 20% off all orders over $50 through May 11th. We have many all-natural, skin-loving products to choose from. There's our Blue Jasmine Bar that's perfect for improving skin tone by promoting the production of collagen and elastin. Our Bloom Bar is great for balancing oil production, reducing inflammation, and promoting healing. Our Wildflower Bar that's perfect for hydration and locking in moisture, keeping your skin supple and hydrated. As well as a few other soaps to choose from, like our award-winning Purple Brazilian Clay and Lavender, our Charcoal Bar, our Pink Himalayan Bar, and our Salty Sea Bar. And don't forget to try our lip butters that come in orange, mint, or unscented and say goodbye to chapped lips. And of course, our lotion bars to use on those overworked areas that need a little more attention, like your heels, elbows, and hands. So hurry on over to our Etsy shop where you can still enjoy 20% off all orders over $50 through May 11th. The link to our Etsy shop is in the description below. So before I get into any of that, I did just want to say thank you to everybody that did leave a comment in a positive note. Those of you that realize that these types of things do happen, and just the quality of life for the animal isn't going to be there, and you know, hard things sometimes need to be done, especially when you're raising livestock. This is just part of our lives, really, dealing with really hard situations and decisions that need to be made. So anyway, a lot of you, again, had some really great comments, and I just really appreciate it. Some of you were literally looking things up and trying to figure out, like, is it this, is it that? And honestly, everything put in the comment section except one thing I have already come across in my hours and hours and hours of research trying to figure out what this could possibly be, which is what I do when an issue comes up, and there is one every year. Something is different, something that we have to learn and didn't know anything about. So that is just part of raising and breeding goats, I suppose. But anyway, it's not, they aren't blind, so that's not a thing, you guys. That was what we initially thought, that potentially they're blind, but it was literally just their mental capacity wasn't there to know to react to things. So it just kind of made it seem like they were blind, but we did thoroughly check, and they did see, they could see what was going on in their surroundings. It wasn't a worm in the brain, nothing like that. They were born like this, so it was something during the gestation period that took place. You know, they're not born with worms in the brain or anything like that, giving them a neurological deficiency or a neurological issue. So that's not a thing. Some people mentioned goat polio. Now, goat polio is completely different than human polio, and what it is really is just a thiamine or vitamin B deficiency. So, you know, honestly, I knew it wasn't that from the beginning. That being said, early on, 2-3 weeks old is all they were when somebody had mentioned that, and I thought vitamin B can't hurt them, so I did give it a try. So for a couple-week period, I actually did give them multiple doses of injectable thiamine, and there was no improvements from me doing that. So I did quit after a couple of weeks, just knowing, again, I did know that it wasn't a thiamine deficiency, but you know, you're hopeful. You really, when something like this comes up, you really want to try everything and just see if you can make it better. And anyway, so that didn't work. It wasn't a thiamine deficiency. So no goat polio there. There was one thing that wasn't necessarily in the comment section, but somebody reached out and said that they think it might be hydrocephalus. So never heard of it before. Obviously, that's not something you come across very frequently or often, luckily, because this was actually pretty brutal to watch these little babies and not seeing any improvements and so forth. But anyway, hydrocephalus. So what it is in their brains, they actually have pockets of fluid. So they don't have the full brain capacity that a goat without a bunch of fluid in its brain is gonna have. But there was only one symptom, and it was the pushing of the fence. Like during you know, how they reacted when it was feeding time, all the time, really. It was just like they just wanted a bottle, all the time, just pushing up on fence. So if they saw you coming or anything like that, they're gonna just go right up to the fence. They see you, they're coming up to the fence, and they're just pushing. So anyway, the only symptom that it could relate to was that with the hydrocephalus. They just couldn't comprehend what was going on around them. They were just kind of in their own worlds and literally just food. That's it. So it was getting to the point where the other goats were actually starting to bully them, and so they had no defense. There wasn't going to be like they were going to start defending themselves or anything like that. And it was really hard to watch them. So we did that for 3 months, you know, just over 3 months, in the hopes that something was going to turn around and that they'd come out of this. And I'm not gonna lie, Emily and I like did see times where we were like, oh my gosh, are they acting normal? But it would only last a few seconds, and then they were right back to, you know, the behavior that is just, you know, they're not there. My thought on it, or what I am currently chalking it up to be, is literally the development during the gestation period. So if you think about it, when there's multiple kids in the womb during gestation, it's a lot different than if there's one kid. So if you're considering the uterus, right, the uterus is where the babies are contained. That's where they grow. That's where they get all of their nutrients. And in most cases, I'm not talking about every case, but in most cases, goats will only have the one placenta to feed and nurture all of the babies. Whether it's one baby or whether it's 5 babies, 6 babies, it doesn't matter. There is one placenta. So picture this. You have your uterus, and there is one area for the placenta, right? And off of that placenta, the baby needs to feed. So if there's 2 babies, you still shouldn't have any issues, honestly. There should be plenty of room and plenty of nutrients coming from that placenta to feed 2 kids. Well, as the number gets higher, say 3 kids, you know, obviously the likelihood of a lot less room, potentially an umbilical cord getting pinched between 2 babies. And then if you go up to 4 kids, like Wildy had, there's a lot of likelihood that those 4 kids are pinching off umbilical cords. They're not getting the nutrients from the placenta needed to thrive and to develop properly. And then on top of that, there's only so much one placenta or one body can do to provide for the little kids. So when there is a high number of kids born for a doe, it does take a lot out of them. It is absolutely evident. So it takes more out of them. They're literally creating and building 4 lives, 5 lives, 6 lives in compared to 1. So if you think about that, that's a lot of little lives to create. And the likelihood of them all coming out alive is slim enough as it is. Because you'll always see, you know, quads or quints or things like that, you know, they had this many born but only 2 survived. Or there were 2 that were really super small. Or there was 1 that just wasn't normal, wasn't right. You could tell it had internal complications. So anyway, there's lots of things like that that happen with high birth rates of single does. And it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Even the kids are always smaller, and it is solely because the nutrition that is needed to give these babies for them to properly grow and develop is, you know, being shared amongst a lot of other babies. So it's just, again, it makes a lot of sense. You know, I hadn't said it yet, but we did go ahead and put the babies down, and so it was a rough day. You know, it's sad. It's sad. It's really sad. So, you know, coming out here to chore the next time and them not being here was sad, but also extremely relieving to know that they're not suffering anymore. And I say suffer, like I don't think they were in pain or anything, just completely unaware of what was going on. And it was really hard to watch. It was really hard to watch. Not that the decision to put them down so that they're no longer having to live in the manner that they were living in was easy by any means, because it's not. It just sucks. So these are the kind of things, literally, that keep me wondering why I keep doing this, why I keep breeding goats. Because there's always going to be these sucky things. And they're just hard. They're just hard. But anyway, as far as there was a few comments, you know, saying send them to a sanctuary. And I have to say, if I personally cannot watch this animal without my heart breaking, because it's just not living a good life, because of whatever circumstances, not because of anything I'm providing, but because, you know, obviously, whatever, right? I just can't fathom thinking, well, I'm going to send it off to a sanctuary where they have to live like this. And no, just wow, no. I would never do that. So again, breeding goats, you come across things like this and you have to make hard decisions. And I'd rather do the hard thing than push it off on somebody else and that animal not living a good life, you know, continuing on in the manner that they were. Like, I wouldn't be able to stop thinking about it. It was a hard decision to make, and I know that I made the best decision for them. So anyway, guys, I am gonna end this video here, and we will see you all again very soon.